Chapter 23, Ascent. Mountain Morning, Day 3. It was warming up, slowly but surely, the sun having crested the mountain completely. It was fully daytime out now. I angled my boonie cap so it would block out the sun and hopefully keep me from getting my daily migraines. The girls both had their hoods pulled down to keep their heads and ears warm, and it looked like two camo bouncing balls. One white camo with the shield and the other purple camo, closer to the mountain with each step. Everyone else seemed to already talk about what the plan was, so I went along with it. We stayed off the roads, having found a hiking and mountain biking trail. No more towns for us. At this pace, we could maybe make 20 miles a day. I didn't know how long we needed to go, though. We walked for the day, taking breaks for food and water. The frog chorus fading off into the distance. The girls essentially running circles around us. For lunch, one of the guys had peanut butter and bread, and another guy was packing some honey. The girls got to have peanut butter and honey sandwiches. Those were a huge hit. It reminded me of Boy Scouts as a kid when my half-sister would participate in our events. We would have the theoretically slowest person lead the hike, which was usually her. Even at the young age, though, she had no problem keeping the group of boys twice her age at a grueling pace uphill. We didn't hike at a grueling pace, though. It was more like a steady walk. We were right about where you could tell we were out of the hills and getting to the mountain portion. It seemed like a good enough place to call it a day. We set up camp and got all of our firewood together that we would need. We built a sheltered bathroom for the kiddos. It was next to a crisp, clean, mountain-fed river. We used our portable water filters anyway. The camp was next to a nice, crisp, clean, mountain-fed river. We used our portable water filters anyway and pumped clean water into our water bottles. There was plenty of water for everyone. One of the guys managed to catch a fish, too, while they were scouting at the river, so we had fresh fish to incorporate into our individual meal plans. We started fire right at dusk. It was good timing because we had a few shelters built by then. Built it right after dusk. We had a few shelters built by then, mostly lean-tos against trees. I had stuck a can of stew in the fire with a hole poked in it to vent, so I ate the beef portion and then stirred the cooked fish in. It tasted amazing. My little half-cooking spork worked well for these occasions. One of the guys had some spaghetti-style canned food. The can got heated up and handed to the girls in little dishes they could eat from. The girls loved it. The guys had some extra blankets in their packs, and those went to the girls. Our XO set them up in his cot, so they'd be off the ground. There was 5 of us guys, so there was enough room at the fire in the shelters if we rotated. Whoever was up could just kick more wood in the fire. It didn't seem like it was as cold as it should be. Maybe it was my imagination. I'd been having a hard time sleeping and powered up my phone. I didn't have watch tonight since I had watch last night and we had enough people, so I thumbed through my documents that I'd saved, trying to find information on compasses. I couldn't get immersed in the material, and unfortunately, I checked my battery really quick at the top right, and it was still at a full battery. I kept my phone off all the time now, and when it was on, it was in airplane mode. I debated turning it on to see if I could get a signal for some weird reason, then freaked myself out imagining people tracking me with satellites. I had a solar charger battery combo in my pack, but for the sake of being prepared, I always kept it off now. I wished I had a USB charging adapter for my comm, but I didn't. That'd have to be something I looked out for. My radio needed to sit in a cradle, though, and that needed direct to a wall outlet. Maybe there were radios out there with proper micro USB charging ports. I'd have to ask around to keep my eyes open. Wasn't long thinking about compasses, chargers, phones, and comms before I fell asleep. I woke up a few times briefly throughout the night, just long enough to toss a log from my side in the fire. Kept having weird dreams. First, this stupid reoccurring dream about a movie theater with only one huge theater in it. Sometimes the theater inside is a mall, and sometimes it's standalone. Either way, the theater has a huge lobby that everyone hangs out in. It has a lot of food vendors to choose from, and you go see the movie. The movie tickets themselves are really cheap. Everyone basically comes for the food. The movie theater itself is absolutely massive, like a drive-in, except everyone is sitting. Watching the movie is more like a party than watching what's going on. The stream was different, though, because instead of being what was normally a positive event, a positive dream, we got attacked in the parking lot by a group. Separated, we had to fight by ourselves. We hadn't traveled to the vehicles in a single group, so it was easy to get us into smaller, manageable groups. I still was able to get to the cars, though, my dream not being a gun-free zone. A while later, I had a follow-up to the dream where I was at school for a job interview. They wanted some weird documentation that we didn't have, but the interview had gone really well. My mom was trying to argue with them and made things worse. But they finally went to the car again without me. I had another good talk with the manager, and she let me know that we were having a party today and that I could have some food from the 2 buffet tables that the catering company brought. They had apparently got way more food than they could eat. I went straight to the fruit like I always did, but the fruit kept changing. Blueberries would turn into a grape bunch when I tried to grab them. The pineapple slices would turn into melon slices. I was trying to get the fruit in a bowl so I could leave on a positive note. The dish I was trying to put the fruit into kept changing sizes. I was trying to find a scoop or tongs so I wasn't using my hands. I was taking too long and it started attracting attention. Someone started making fun of the amount of fruit I had taken, with the grapes still being on the stem when they hadn't. The grapes now being on the stem when they hadn't been a moment before. I didn't know what to tell them. It wasn't my fault. Before long, birds far away were chirping that it was time to get up. I woke up, not being able to completely remember the dream, just remember that my brain seemed to be completely scrambled. Chapter 24, Ascension, Pre-Dawn, Day 4. My eyes and brain were working on coordinating what was in front of me, and then I realized the guys were putting out the fire before the sun could break and reflect off the smoke. We weren't being chased as far as we knew, but we didn't want to take any unnecessary risk. Something smelled good. I realized that they had cooked a big pot of oatmeal. I guess that our mountain friend had left them with some oats. Someone had some crushed flaxseed and put a bunch in the pot. That'd taste really good. I hadn't had flaxseed in forever. I dug through my pack and had a can of peaches. I gave them the can of peaches in light syrup, and the fruit got chopped up and added to the pot. I tried to make a half-hearted joke. I guess we won't be getting scurvy today. Everyone usually liked to talk like pirates, but I guess not today. My friends stayed quiet. I looked around and noticed our comms guy and XO weren't around. The fire was completely out now and the pot just sitting on hot coals. The guy asked me if I wanted the peach syrup, and I said no thanks. Our armor and tank shared it in their tin cups that they had. I was never a fan of the syrup that came with canned fruit. I looked around, the girls were still sleeping in the cot, it looked like. They'd be awake soon enough. One of the guys put his percolating coffee pot on the hot coals next to the oatmeal pot. I started packing up my overnight setup. The aroma from the oatmeal and coffee mixed together smelled amazing. That got the girls up and out of bed pretty quick, just in time for the sun to split light in a V shape past us on both sides. Our armor went up and got the blankets and handed them back out. One belonged to the XO, so he left it in the cot for when he got back. Within a few minutes, our XO and the comms guy were both back. Our XO put his cot away and immediately, as well as his blanket. He asked the girls how they slept. The shy girl looked but didn't say or do anything. The bolder of the two gave him a thumbs up. He gave a nod back and finished putting his cot away, and then he sat down with us to eat. Our comms guy spoke up. We have the final leg of the mission. Coordinates that we have to hike to. A window that we have to be there within. We all nodded. Food and coffee had been completely consumed. We went to the stream and filled up everything we had for water. Some of the guys had water containers in their packs, others had canteens, and we all filled up. We began our hike. It was still cold but not freezing. The further we got, the warmer it seemed to get. Didn't make any sense. We passed several forks in our hiking trail. We all stopped to check our compasses, making sure to have true north dialed in. I remembered from childhood that many of these paths went absolutely nowhere. People would get lost for days, and that would be it for them.